Square root of 96. First of all, if you were writing those perfect squares, they'd be what? 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, 144, 169, 196, 225. What's next? 256, 289, 324, 361, and then 400, right? That'd be a pretty good amount of them. First of all, this is just a square root here. Is the number underneath it a perfect square? No, it's not. You know, if you don't know that, you just look at the list or put it into your calculator. If you put it in your calculator, you get 9.7, so you know it's not a perfect square. So I need the largest perfect square. It's a factor of it. If you don't know what it is, you can just start dividing. Divide it by 36. No, didn't divide by 49 because that's more than half of it. What's next? 96 divided by 25. No, 96 divided by 16. There it is. So 16 times 6 is what it is. So I'm going to break this up into square root of 16 times square root of 6. This has to be on your test. Okay? If that's not on your test, not done properly, doesn't count. Square root of 16 is what? See, what number square root of 16? 4. So you write that there. Now, the only other thing I would accept on a test, and you can do this for some of the bigger ones, is breaking it into primes. 96 divided by 2, that's a prime number. So square root of 2 times square root of 48. Then divided by 2 again, so that's an even number. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 times square root of, what, 24? Then divide it by 2 again. So we've got square root of 2 times square root of 2 times square root of 2 times square root of 12. Divide by 2 again. Square root of 2 times 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 square root of 6. And now you could break this into square root of 2 times 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 square root of 3. And you can only break it out. These two become what? 2. Those two become 2. But guess what? That doesn't have another 2 with it. So what's left inside? Square root of 6. 2 times 2 is what? So you get the same answer. If you want to write them as primes, you can do that too, but you better show your work. Okay, number 2 is the number underneath the square root of perfect square. Hey, yeah, it is. What is the square root of 144? That was an easy one. You just put those 12. Okay. 324. Is that a perfect square? How great. This one comes out even too. You think I'll put some of those on there? Yeah, I don't want to make every one of them the toughest problem you've ever had in your life. Okay. Square root of 72. Is 72 a perfect square? Is it over here? No, it's not. What's the largest number that's a factor of it? Perfect square that's a factor of it. Well, half of 30 or 72 is somewhere around 40, so I might try 36. 72 divided by 36 equals, look at that, it comes out even. So I can break this up into the square root of what? 36 times square root of 2. I have to see that. 6 square roots of 2. I know some of you have the calculators that'll do this for you. I may make you use your phones on this test. Okay? I'll let you use mine. Okay, what's square root of 169? Is that a perfect square? What's square root of 169? Easy enough. How about 486? We don't have it that far, so you can just quickly find out. Nope. 46 divided by 2 would be about 243. So that puts us over here. I really don't think 225 will go into it. In fact, I know it won't. 196. It's not going to.
What number are we on? 5?
6. 144.
13. Just 13.
Nope. 486 divided by 169. No.
9.
486 divided by 121. No. I know 100 won't. Let's go 486 divided by 81. Square root of 81 times square root of 6. What is the square root of 81?
9.
Good problem. Now, all the rest of these problems is extensions of this. You're still going to have to simplify square roots. It's just now we're going to add them or divide them or things like that. Right, Alyssa? Put that up. Mm-hmm.
On number 4, could you have used the square root of 9 and the square root of 8?
You could have. You could have done square root of 9 times square root of 8. You would have gotten 3 square roots of 8. But when you look at that, you should say, hey, wait a second, there's still a perfect square that will divide them. No. 9 times 8 is 72, right?
Couldn't you make 8 4?
I could make 3 times square root of 4 times square root of 2 is what I should do next. See how I broke it up? So now it'd be 3 times 2 times square root of 2, and what do you end up getting? See how you end up with the same answer? What you basically did is you didn't split it up. You did divide a perfect square into it, but it wasn't the largest perfect square as a factor of it. So you had to keep breaking it down because you looked at what was left. The largest perfect square as a factor of 8 is not 1, it's 4. So it could even break up a little more. And there's nothing wrong with doing that as long as you just realize that, you know, when you get to some of these big numbers, you might have seen if that divided by 4 and got yourself a bigger number. And see if that worked, and then take a little out, and then see if a little more can come out. But if you do it correctly, you should get the exact same answer. And either way is okay.
On number 6, I had actually divided it by 9 instead of
Okay, so you got square root of 9 times square root of what?
54.
54. So you got 3 square roots of what? 54? Now, but you got to look at that 54.
Yeah.
9 will go into that again, won't it? So it's 3 times square root of 9 times square root of what? 6?
That's just 1.
Square root of 9, that's all right. 3 times what? 3 times square root of 6. 3 times 3 is what? If it helps you to do it that way, you just, to make sure you're right, make sure you keep breaking it down. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way. I do large numbers like that all the time because I'd rather just start splitting it up and get it as small as I can. Now, these next ones over here, square root of 8, these aren't like terms because it's not the same thing underneath the square root sign, so I can't add them right now. But before I can say this is simplified, I have to simplify each square root. How can I break this up? Square root of 4 times square root of 2 plus square root of 16 times square root of 2. Because 16 is the largest perfect square, goes into that. Square root of 4 is 2 plus, what's the square root of 16? Now, are they like terms? Your answer is 6 square roots of 2. I have to see all of this with the plus signs, not what you feel like writing down. I have to see all of this on your test paper for full credit. I would need to see all of that. That's a point, that's a point, that's a point. Here, you can do this a couple of different ways. I would always, when dealing with fractions, if you can simplify this fraction, do it. Because, yes, you can multiply the bottom by what? Square root of 48 and top by square root of what? What do you end up getting? 144 over 48, square root of 144 over 48. Is that right? This one actually turns out okay. What's the square root of 144? Over 48. Does that reduce any? 1 over 4. See how we did that? You can do it that way as long as you keep reducing. The thing about it is, will 3 go into 48? 1, what? 16. So you actually have square root of 1 over square root of what? What's square root of 1? What's square root of 16? Got the same answer, didn't you?
Yeah. Okay, we just do it like that.
You can do it any way you want. What I'm saying is, remember, if they're both under the square root sign, you can divide the numbers, can't you? If one's under the square root sign and one's not, you can't divide them. But here, are both of them under the square root sign on number 9? Huh?
Yes.
Yes, they are. So, 2 will go into both of them, right?
Yes.
So this will become square root of 3 over square root of what?
4.
Anything else you can simplify there?
Yeah.
Square root of 3, square root of 4 becomes what? Let's say you're not good with fractions.
Wait, how do you because, yeah.
I divided each one by 2. I got a common factor. Let's say you're not really good with fractions. Okay? I know that basically I'm reducing that fraction, right? I could put in 6, ABC, 8 equals. What did it reduce it to for me? 3 over 4, what I just got? All you have to remember is that your square roots didn't go away, did they? It's square root of 3 over what? Square root of 4. But you can use your calculator to help you simplify that fraction, can't you? Remember, these square roots only go away when you answer the question. They're always asking what number could I multiply times itself and get that as an answer. I can answer that question here. The answer is, here I can answer that question. What number could I multiply by itself and get 4 as an answer? 2. I answered that question, I'll put it there. What number could I multiply by itself and get 3 as an answer? You don't know that top of your head. It's a decimal, right? So we leave that as what? Square root of 3. The square root can only go away when you answer the question. Now, over to these down here. Oh, I'm multiplying here, aren't I? We only did one worksheet with these, but I'm multiplying this times this. Simple. What's understood to be in front of this square root of 2? A 1. Multiply the things on the outside. 1 times negative 4 is what? Negative 4. Square root of 2 times square root of 6 is square root of? Is that simplified? I need to break it up into square root of 4 times square root of what? What's the answer? Negative 8 square roots of 3. I'm not going to give you as many problems because I do want every step on here. I want you proving to me that you know what you're doing. Does everybody understand that?
How many problems?
I don't know. I haven't made it yet. 15 to 20, I'd say. Right here, 2 times 12 is square root of what? Huh? No one in here knows what 2 times stinking 12 is. Thank you. What's the largest perfect square? It's a factor of 24. Let's see, 16 won't go into it, 9 won't go into it, will 4 go into it evenly? There you go. Square root of 4 times square root of what?
6.
Remember, you got to be able to go back up and get the same thing for it to mean you're doing the right thing. Which one of those two can I answer that question? Square root of 4. What number can I multiply times itself get 4 as an answer? I can't answer the other question, right? You're done. It's not so bad, is it?
I can't change the other.
Huh?
I can't change the other.
What number could you square and get 6 as an answer? 3 times 3 is 9. You see what I'm saying? You put that in your calculator, you're going to get a decimal. Only perfect squares on the square root come out even. Here, first of all, the numbers outside here, can I reduce those? No. Okay, let's see. How about the numbers inside? Will this reduce 10 over 12? Doesn't that go into that square root of 5 times? Everyone agree? So you basically get 1 on the bottom. Square root of 1 is 1. It leaves, you're just left with 6 on the bottom. What are you left on top? 5 what? Square root of 5. See, this went into that, right? Everybody see that? So your 5 square roots of 5 on top, just the 6 on bottom. And guess what? You're already done. You'd have made life a lot harder on yourself if you'd have multiplied the bottom and top by square root of 2 there, wouldn't you have? First, always see if that what? Both things under the square root will reduce. You'll make life a lot easier on yourself. Right here. Are they like terms right now? What do I have to do? Simplify each. See how the same numbers are kind of repeating sometimes? Not so bad, is it? If you've already, I mean, how many times have you had to do 24 already? 2? Thank you. Now here, well, any perfect squares go into that. Half of that's 23, or no, 28. 25 won't go into it. Will 16 go into it evenly? No. Will 9 go into it evenly? Will 4? Square root of 4 times square root of 13, isn't it? No, 14. Plus, what about 96? What's the largest perfect square? It's a factor of it.
16. No, yeah.
Square root of 16 times square root of 6. What does this become? Can I answer that question? What is it? So I'm left with 2 square roots of 6 minus, what does that become? 2 square roots of what? 14. That doesn't change. You can't answer that question. It stays the same. Plus, what does 6 square root of 16 become? Square root of what? Now, you've simplified each square root. Are there any like terms here? Which one? So how many total square roots of 6 do you have now? 6 square roots of 6 minus 2 square roots of 14. And there's nothing else you can reduce there. Simplify, correct? Over on this one, you got square root of 4 times square root of 10. 2 square roots of 10. Here you got negative 8 square roots of 10, right? Here, that's square root of 100 times square root of 10, isn't it? So you get plus 10 square roots of 10. Do you have any like terms here? You have 2 square roots of 10. And this make how many square roots of 10? 2 and 10 is what? Minus 8 is 4 square roots of 10. Okay, I went through that fast because I want you guys to have this to look at, because like I said, you're going to have the video online if you want to look at it tonight to study. But what did I do? The largest perfect square roots of factor of 40 is what? 4. So I broke this up to 4 times 10. Everybody okay there? 8 square roots of 10. That's already reduced. There's nothing else to reduce there. Everybody see that? Largest perfect square roots of factor of 1,000 is 100. So 100 times square root of 10. Now, can you do all that by just dividing and figuring out which one on that list? Yes, you can do that. 10 square roots of 10. So now I'm left with 2. This 4 became what? Square root of 4 is 2. This stayed the same. Square root of 100 is 10. So now I have all like terms here, don't I? So I add a positive 2 and another positive 10 square roots of 10 makes what? 12 square roots of 10 minus square root of 8 square roots of 10 makes what? 4 square roots of 10. Okay? Are we on time? Okay, we got 20 minutes. Let's go to the back. You have to remember on the variables, you got 8 times. First of all, square root of 36, is that a perfect square? 36 is a perfect square. So square root of 36 is what? Times. Is that a perfect square? No. So you have to break it up into x squared times square root of x. Remember that these are only perfect squares variables when it's what type of exponent? Even. When it's even, it's perfect square. So every time it's odd, you just take one less and multiply it times x. So 8 times 6 is 48. Square root of x squared is x, square root of x. And that's your answer. This, you're left with 10 times, is x to the 5th a perfect square? No, it is not. You guys quit writing and just look up here. Like I said, it'll be online for you to look at if you want to write it down right quick, and I'll freeze it and let you write it down when we're done if we get done early enough. X to the 5th, is that a perfect square? Why? Remember, it's yeah, it needs to be even, right? So the large perfect square, it's a factor of it, is 1 less than x to the what? Times square root of x. Remember how we always had like x left over here, or y, and we just took 1 less? So it's 10x to, what is square root of x to the 4th is x to the 2nd, square root of x. All you got to do is realize you have about 3 or 4 different problems here. First of all, if this helps, you don't have to write this step down on the test, but I'll break it up like this. That's a bunch of different problems there, isn't it? There's this problem right here, the number. Is that any, you've done this before, haven't you? What's the largest perfect square that's a factor of 124? Well, half of that is what, 62? So going down, will 49 divide into it evenly? How about 36? Nope. 25 won't. What about 124 divided by 16? Nope. How about 124 divided by 9? Nope. 124 divided by 4? 31. So this is square root of 4 times square root of 31. Everybody okay there? How would I split this one up? Square root of x to the what? 4th, 1 less than it, times square root of x. How would I break this one up? Do I need to break that one up? No, that becomes y to the 2nd, doesn't it? Because that one is a perfect square. How about here? How do I break this one up? It's odd, so z to the what? Times square root of what? Z. So as you see, this is already outside, right? This is going to be outside. What does it become? 2. This is going to be outside. What does it become? Squared. That's outside, so it stays x squared because I already found it out right there, right? Is this going to be outside? Z to the what? 3rd. Then the only things left inside are what? 31, x, z. It's not so bad when you realize this is just 3 problems in one, isn't it? Just break down each problem and then combine what's on the inside and what's on the outside. Number 18. I just left the numbers out here, didn't I? Is that one even? Is that one even? Is that one even? So the whole thing's a perfect square, isn't it? This becomes x to the what? Y to the z to the. Aren't you glad we went over one like that? Because wouldn't you be mad if you got one of those wrong on the test? Because I'll be nice and make that worth 2 points or something, where, you know, these ones that are more steps aren't worth so much more than them. Let's go over here to 646. Well, that's just a big ugly number. Just some work to do there. Half of it's 323. 324 is, so the next perfect square down from 324 is what? 289. You think 289 is going to go in that evenly? No, because 3 times 289 is going to be a lot more, and 2 times it is a lot less. What's the next one down after 289? 256, I'd say no. How about, what's the next one down after that? 225, that has to be 50s or 25s or zeros, doesn't it? That won't work. What's the next one down? 196? You might, this is starting to get to the numbers you might try. Divided by 196. No. Okay. What's the next one down? 144? Does that one work? Okay, 121. That's not going to work.
Are you gonna have any that are simplified on the test?
Might have one or two. I'll probably make it pretty easy though. Not that big of a number. Let's see. 121. 100's not going to work. How about 81? 646 divided by 81 equals. No. How about 64? No, it didn't work. How about 49? How about 646 divided by 36? How about 646 divided by 16? How about 646 divided by 4? Guess what? Hard to believe, isn't it? I just guessed that number. I didn't realize it was simplified when I made the practice test. So here, another one of these. 8 square root of 24 times square root of x to the 9th times square root of y to the 8th. Like I said, I don't expect to see that step on the test, but if it helps you to do that, do it. That becomes x to the 3rd, or no it doesn't. That becomes x to the 8th times square root of x times y. That one comes out even, doesn't it?
Is that an 8?
That's an 8, yes. So 8 times square root of 4 becomes what? 2 square root of 6. This becomes x to the 4th times square root of x times y to the 4th. These are the things all on the outside, so it'd be 16x to the 4th y to the 4th square root of 6x, wouldn't it? (21) Look, 24 again. Square root of 4 times square root of 6. What's the square root of 16? 56. Square root of 4 times square root of what? 14. Minus square root of 25 times square root of 6. What does this become? 2 square roots of 6 plus 4 plus what? 2 square roots of 14 minus 5 square roots of 6. Are there any like terms there? Right here and right here are your only ones, aren't they? So negative 3 square roots of 6 plus 4 plus 2 square roots of 14 be your answer. Or you could write it as 4 minus, you know, the order doesn't matter as long as you get the signs right. Square root of 100 on 22 is what? Now, looking at number 23, back to these. You can't reduce that fraction, can you? You can either try to reduce this or just, what do you want to do right now? Multiply top and bottom by square root of 5? Okay. What do we get? We get what on the bottom? 5. We got rid of the square root in the bottom. On the top, what do we get? Square root of what? 5 times 18 is 90. Is there anything left to simplify? Don't assume there isn't. Because, you know, with these, you know, remember how fractions, they would stay simplified lots of times if you added simplified fractions? It's not necessarily the case with square roots when you multiply them or things like that. But I could break this into square root of 9 times square root of what? 10 over 5. That becomes 3 square roots of 10 over 5. Does 3 over 5 reduce any? Your square roots reduce, so you're done. Like I said, I want to see times square root of 5, times square root of 5, all that stuff on your paper. This problem would have been, that's 1 point, getting to here is 1 point, doing that's 1 point, that's 1 point. So 1, 2, 3, 4 points. So if you just wrote the answer on there, you're going to get a 25% on that test, on that question. Okay? The process is as or more important than the how you do it, or then, you know, You don't have to do exactly how I did it. If you decided to break that into square root, or 3 times square root of 2, and then went from there, you'd have less steps. So, but that's fine. Down here, number 24. Can I reduce this before I start? Won't that go into that 3 times, square root of 3 times? So I'm left with 1 over square root of 3, aren't I? Both the top and bottom are simplified. What's the only thing that's wrong with this picture? What's at the bottom? So I have to multiply the bottom by, Gus, pay attention, square root of 3. Multiply the top by what? Gus? By square root of 3. What do I get on the bottom here? What do I get on the top? Square root of 3, right? And you're done.
Can we just do we have to leave it this way?
You can't leave it like this.
No.
What are you saying?
Can we just make it just one?
Could you mean like a 1 squared is 3 over 3?
Just one.
No, you couldn't because there's a square root of 3 on top. Okay, this one. Anything to simplify? Could you simplify square root of 3 over square root of 2 any? 3 over 5? No. Only thing left to do is to not have what at the bottom of the fraction? Square root sign. So I multiply the bottom by square root of 2, top by square root of 2. So I'm left with 3 square roots of what? 6 over 5 times what? What is square root of 2 times square root of 2? 2. 5 times 2 is? So 3 square roots of 6 over 10. And there's nothing else to simplify there, is there? Last one. Is there anything to simplify? So I'm going to multiply the bottom by what?
2.
Square root of 2. Top by what?
Square root of 2.
So I'm going to be left with 3 square roots of 10 over 2 times what? So I'm left with 3 square roots of 10 over what?
Can't reduce anymore.
You're done. Test will be problems exactly like that.
Maybe send these in you after the test.
Yeah. I know. Does anybody want me to zoom out anymore? Do you at least have the top ones down if you want to write them down right quick? Is that good?